You send your family, your friends, and that's how you succeed in business, is you do the right thing. It's how you succeed in life. You do the right thing. Started with nothing, and we ended up with about $4 million worth of real estate by the time we were 26. And back in the 80s, I was making a couple of hundred a year, which neighborhood I grew up in, we called that rich because of starting from nothing. And but I was stupid. I had borrowed too much money, and I spent the next 2.5 years of my life losing everything we owned. Too much debt, and I got a PhD in DUMB. We got the chance to start over with a brand new baby and a toddler and a marriage hanging on by a thread, and so kind of pierced through the academics and through the lens of faith and through the lens of common sense, found really common sense money stuff, and we started doing it ourselves. You know, what we figured out was that personal finance, I kept trying to fix it with the math because I'm a math nerd. And then I finally figured out it wasn't a math problem. It was a me problem. The guy in my mirror is the problem. If I can get that guy to behave, he can be skinny and rich, but he's got issues. And so I figured out he needs a clear path and basic financial planning / mixed in with a little common sense to make some gumbo. We came up with an idea that, hey, do this first, then do this, then do this. Real clear, and don't deviate from it. And lots of people did it, and it worked. And we called it the baby steps because you can do anything if you just take a step at a time. Baby step 1's $1,000. Quickly save a little starter emergency fund. 2 is knock off all your debt, except your home, using the debt snowball, listing them smallest to largest, attack them in that order. 3 is an emergency fund. Go back to that 1,000, raise it up to a fully funded grandma's rainy day fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses. So now you're sitting with $15,000, $20,000 and no debt except your house. Now you can breathe. That's a foundation. And then you start your investing into your retirement, kids' college, and pay off your house early. Typical millionaire pays off their home in about 10.2 years. And then you're set up for baby step 7, which is just build wealth and be outrageously generous. Mathematical blasphemy. It really is. For a nerd like me, it's like fingernails down a chalkboard. We're doing it wrong, you know? We're doing it wrong. But the thing is, if you go to the Y and you sweat and you drink water and you don't eat white bread and you gain weight, you will quit. And the same thing getting out of debt. You need some quick encouragement. You need to go, this might work. And then you pay off another one, you go, well, this might work. Then you pay off another one, you're like, getting the neighbor in here. This might work. Hey, baby, come over here. Look at this. We paid. And you start to get this thing happening. It's called hope. And you actually believe it's going to happen. And so, and what happens is the more people get excited, the more they believe, the deeper they'll sacrifice, and the faster they get out. And so this debt snowball thing, even though it's, you know, it's a paradox, even though that, it works. It works. And people don't get out of debt using the other because they get stalled out. And I always just laughingly tell our audiences, you know, if we were doing math, we wouldn't have credit card debt in the first place. It's not a math problem. Well, I just don't teach people to borrow money. The shortest path between where you are and wealth is to stay in control of your largest wealth building tool, which is your income. Now that puts some serious hurdles in place when you're going to law school or you're going to go to med school. But I talk to people who go to med school and they find a way. They get scholarships, they do fellowships, the MD PhD program. There's all kinds of ways to do it, but it's tough. It's tough, but so's paying off $250,000 freaking dollars in debt. That's tough too. So you're going to pick your tough. You just got to pick which one. The inherent problem, and it becomes a policy problem when you get right down to the core of it with $1.4 trillion now in student loan debt. We're basically loaning 18-year-olds who have never had a job and want to get a degree in left-handed puppetry up to $145,000. I mean, we the people are stupid. We're really stupid that we're guaranteeing these loans. I mean, because there's no guidelines on this whatsoever. And the parents many times don't care, don't bother to be involved, or don't know how to lead their kid. You know, they're like, well, they're 18, they make their own decisions. That's probably not a good idea. You know, maybe we put your arm around little Junior and say, you know, we really do need to get a degree in something other than, you know, German polka history. Let's try something else, you know. Let's try to get something actually is marketable and that you can put some tools in your belt to earn a living so you don't live in my basement when you're 32. Let's have a plan here. being smart, being educated is a good thing. It's just, what are you studying and what are your expectations? But it just breaks my heart when I get a young lady calling me from Atlanta last week on my show, and she's got $165,000 in student loan debt for a master's degree in sociology, and she makes $38,000 working for the state of Georgia. I mean, it's just, so where were her parents? Where we as a culture failed her to tell her that was going to work. But then you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, well, education isn't a good idea, but we're just stupid about education. That's the paradox.
So when it comes to kind of personal character, how much do you think that financial decisions are about education of people to make the right decisions? And how much is it about actually being able to put off what you want for what you need?
Yeah, that's called maturity, the ability to delay pleasure. And that is a character quality. Integrity, there's a high correlation between integrity, wholeness, not just telling the truth and honesty, but this full-on integrity. You are who you are all the time, that's integrity. And not only do you tell the truth, not only do you honor your word in situations. High data point correlation between that and the ability to build wealth. This idea that you cheat your way to the top is mythology. It truly does not work out there. I mean, think about it. If you go to the local car place and get your car worked on, he cheats you. You tell everybody you know. And you don't tell everybody you know. And if you go in there and he says, oh, it was 35 cents. I fixed it. Don't worry about it. You tell everybody you know because you just found a unicorn. You know what I mean? It's so rare. The guy just did the right thing. And you send your family, your friends, and that's how you succeed in business, is you do the right thing. It's how you succeed in life. You do the right thing. Integrity, the ability to delay pleasure, the ability to say, I'm going to give up something today. I'm going to live like no one else so that later I can live and give like no one else. That's the way we say it on the show.
Why do you think it's important for folks to give charity?
Well, it has nothing to do with the economy. It has to do with what it does for you. God teaches both of our faiths to give very, very clearly. Tons of scripture, the Talmud, the Old Testament, what we Christians would call it, and in the New Testament as well. Tons. So why would a loving God suggest that you give money? It has nothing to do with economics. Your synagogue does not need your money. My church does not need my money. They're going to be fine, I promise. So that's not what it's about. This is about what happens in me. When I turn loose of money and I see the result, it moves me from selfish to selfless. It grows my character. And selfless people are highly attractive, much more so than selfish people. And so it turns out that the person who gives is also the person who holds the door for you. They're also the person that has a level of humility. They understand the center of the world really doesn't run through the top of their head. And so, but there's a spiritual result, a character-based result, and a psychological result when you go through the tactical step of mathematically giving your money away. And so when you reach over and you see a lady waiting a table in a greasy diner and you leave her a $300 tip and she's pregnant, that lady needs the money. Now, you helped her. The economy was affected, but what it did for you was more than any other player. So oddly enough, charity is selfish.